Alright, let's go ahead and get started on bag number 7. Looks like there's one minifig in this bag assortment. And that is a character that is very near and dear to my heart. Yorick. Liking the suit. If you don't know who Yorick is, I suggest you go back and read some of the old Daredevil comics from the 80s. He was a substantial character. Frank Miller kind of used him as the point of view character. There's Ben's head. And there he is. Looks a little sad. Which is about right, I think, for the character. This might be a little better. Bring it down a little bit. I actually have a bone to pick a little bit with this minifigure. I'm definitely willing to be okay with a lot of the other modernizations, but to me, this really starts to get away from Yorick in the comics, and I would have had no clue that that's who this was. Even characters that were slightly modernized, like Robbie Robertson and Gwen Stacy, I would still know that it was them. I would not have known this was Yorick unless they put it in the book. So, I don't know. I really think they should have looked more closely at some of the source material. This more looks like it's based on maybe the Ultimate universe Yorick. And I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be like a 6/16, regular standard Marvel universe kind of set. And I really wish they had looked at some of that source material where he has very much sandy grayish hair. He has no facial hair. He mostly wears like a light brown parka. I mean, and this is not at all what he looks like. So I'm a little disappointed here. I'm sure I could easily make my own Yorick minifig, but I shouldn't have to. I mean, it's good for what it is. I'll tell you what, it sort of reminds me of Joey Pantoliano, or Joey Pants, as people call him, but not as Yorick. He played Yorick in the 2003 Daredevil movie, but it kind of reminds me of him, but this isn't at all the look he had. He was bald in that movie, and I don't remember if he had his goatee and all that like he does in a lot of roles, but yeah, it kind of reminds me of Joey Pants in a funny way, but not Joey Pants as Yorick. So it's really kind of strange. Okay, that's enough about that. For now, let's put Ben working. We're going to say that he's working right here. He's got some articles to write. Great character. Wish he'd been done a little bit more justice in minifig form. Probably the most... That also kind of suits my theory that perhaps some of these minifigs that Lego just kind of looking for just some names of notable reporters or anything from old comics, and they sort of just designed it and then added the name. And if that's not the case, I apologize to the Lego group. If there was a lot of deep thought put into Yorick there, I am very sorry. It just so happens that he doesn't match at all what I had in mind. Maybe there was more thought than what I'm giving them credit for. Something really satisfying about putting these little desk drawers together. The joy of Lego. Isn't that what Bob Ross, the painting show, was called? The Joy of Painting. Maybe we should do our Lego version. The Joy of Lego. And we'll put a happy little filing cabinet right there. There we go. That'll go with Peapod, the squirrel. There we go, right there. Okay. Got those in. All right, next up. I guess there's going to be little objects go on top of those filing cabinets, and that's why we have little studs on the top there. Yep, looks like we have a tray of donuts we're going to be building. Just when you thought Lego couldn't get any more exciting. I'm always partial to these little donut pieces. Aren't these the same ones that were in the Lego Simpsons sets? I'm trying to remember. Definitely looks like a Homer's Choice to me. Let's see, there we go. Speaking of Lego donuts, I was a little surprised when there was so much playful, which, you know, I'm sure that most police officers wouldn't think that this was disrespectful at all, but I was a little surprised by how many playful donut allusions that there were in their Lego police station. Seemed kind of, I don't know, with current tensions, it seemed a little, I don't want to say ill-timed, but a little odd. Had all these jokes about donuts, but I guess it goes more in the world of Lego City Undercover, the video game, where a lot of the police are inept, but I don't think it's meant to be any kind of statement. I think it's just supposed to be pure comedy. You can't take it too seriously. It's Lego. Ooh, I really like the build theory here. I'm not sure they've ever done this before. They have a coffee pot, and they have a black tooth piece for the handle. Yeah, I actually like that. That's pretty nifty. Put that over here beside the donuts in case Ben Yorick, or the guy that's supposed to be Ben Yorick, doesn't look much like Ben Yorick from the comics, in case he gets hungry or thirsty. Then we have a little pink mug. I like all the care that went into making sure there was some color variety here, because you have a white, a red, and a pink, and it just kind of, it makes it so much more interesting, you know, from a visual standpoint. All right, now it looks like we're building maybe the water cooler. Yep, building the water cooler. So this looks really cool. All right, I have a little cooler piece right here. It's funny, this bag is mostly windows, so if you look over here slightly, you can see a big pile of window transparent pieces. It's kind of funny. All right. Hey there, how you doing? Good to see you. Sometimes I like the little mini builds in these big sets, sometimes even more than assembling like the overall building. I think it's because I'm constantly interested in seeing what the Lego group comes up with for like their different build theories about how things should work. I'm not much of a mock builder, but if I were, I think I would definitely take inspiration from some of these cool little ideas they have. I'm constantly amazed by their ability to minimize and make things simple yet really effective looking once they're built at that minifig scale. I'm always going to be much more interested in minifig scale items than large scale items. And they both have their place, but I'm more interested to see how you can convey an idea visually when you have limited resources, limited real estate, and if you will. A wedge here. Go. Oh, I see. It was upside down. This is the top of Ooh, I like that. I actually did something really clever with this. I'll point it out once I get the sides on. Okay. So what they did was, that is just a regular trans uncolored clear piece on the top to go with the trans blue at the bottom. So from a distance, it gives the illusion that the water only pools up to here, like it would in a real like office water tank, and it wouldn't be at the top. So that's a really nifty little illusion right there. I like that. And I love a little grabber hand because it gives the illusion that this is where you put the cup. So there's actually a lot of thought that went into this. I actually really like this. Very nice. Oh, and I see. I've been wondering what the green bottle looked kind of like some kind of alcohol bottle or something. I've been wondering what it was doing over there, but since this is where the water cooler goes, that I suppose is supposed to be a container that you can put the water in. So Lego definitely going to avoid allusions to alcohol. It's like in the Simpsons sets, right? When they made sure that, what was it? It was their the Simpsons brand of soda. What is it, Spark or something? There was never like a Duff can. And I know that that was irritating to fans of The Simpsons, but I totally get it. I think compromises had to be made to get those sets, and they were well worth it. Some people say that's why the Simpsons range ended, though, is because there were some parents groups with nothing better to do, maybe, who let Lego know that they thought Simpsons were inappropriate or something. I thought it was ridiculous myself. Nothing inappropriate about the sets. And the truth is, little Johnny, who they're so worried about, is probably sat at home watching Rick and Morty while Mom is crying in the streets about The Simpsons, which is a show that's fairly innocent when you compare it to what eventually happened with animation. Not saying it's good or bad, just saying that it's fairly standard situational comedy kind of content. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But of course, there'll always be a double standard for animation. And in America animation, I think they've come a long way, but I think it's still got a ways to go to not be perceived as strictly a children's medium. I think animation can be a lot of things. I think in America we have a hard time not just compartmentalizing parts of our culture. Nothing wrong with it, it's just kind of the way we are. If it's a cartoon, it's for kids. It's kind of the overall wisdom. So this, we're just building those giant columns. And I think we're just creating a frame to fill in with windows. I think that's all we're doing. Which I believe will be the majority of this bag. But as I've expressed before during this build, I actually kind of like those monotonous parts because you can kind of just turn your brain off and just start letting pieces fly. It almost tricks your brain into thinking you're free building, even though you're not. And just like Lord Business, I need it to be exact to the instructions, so it gives me a strange comfort, I guess. It's even funnier as I'm building this in my basement. So it's like what Lord Business says in the Lego movie. When it's down here, it's an adult thing, okay? those will just go at these little points. And we'll just build that as we go around. Ooh, Robbie Robertson here, he had a rough night. He fell asleep on his newspapers. You know what? We're going to let Robbie just kind of take a break. He's going to sit in his chair, if I can put him in it. Come on, Robbie, sit down. He doesn't want to stop. He's a hard worker. He's too busy trying to cover for Peter to make sure he doesn't get in trouble. No one finds out he's Spider-Man. Trying to remember back to those old comics. It's been years since I read them. Didn't Robbie have a son that was in college? Peter was one of his pals, I think. I think that's how it was. Now that's something that they ought to introduce in the new MCU movies. Have Robbie be a big part of it, and have Peter happen to be friends with his son. And you know, I've always liked Robbie because Marvel was so progressive and ahead of their time, and they were making sure that black characters got to have, you know, real voices, and they were trying as best as they could at the time to make them authentic. So I think that that's something to honor. I think DC has actually done probably a better job with their similar counterpart when they were introducing more diversity in the Batman comics. When they introduced Lucius Fox, they've probably done a better job than Marvel has with carrying that forward in that respect, because they have Lucius's son Luke as Batwing. So I thought that was great. But then again, did they really do better than Marvel did with Miles Morales when Brian Michael Bendis created him? I mean, probably not. So it's a tit for tat, I guess, the two major publishers. Okay, these kind of irritate me, where you have to switch up what side they're going to. I guess that was the best way that they could do this, to have it be stable. But it's a little irritating to line these up and then shift them around. I feel like I'm working a Rubik's Cube. Maybe that's what Lego needs to come out with. A buildable Rubik's Cube. There might actually be some interest in that. I know people that are really into that were anyway, really into the Rubik's Cube. So maybe they can sell it as kind of a retro throwback. I think back in the day, everybody knew that one guy who could solve the Rubik's Cube in like no time. They had learned like a trick. Could you imagine how many times that was used at a party back in the day? Want to see me solve the Rubik's Cube? All right. There we go. Getting some more support on the roof. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now it's time for that section I was talking about where I can just turn my brain off and just kind of free build and give myself a little room to work here and get this part of the Bugle out of the way a little bit. Because this part, we are just assembling windows, and that's it. Each one of these will have 5 windows stacked on top of each other. We're going to do this a total of 14 times. Three, 4, and 5. Okay, there's one. One of many. I'm waiting for the Lego set that's called Windows 95. It just comes with 95 trans Windows pieces. That's it. Co-branded with Microsoft and everything. And there's Windows XP, and it just comes with a trans window piece that has a question mark printed on it. There's Windows Vista, and it comes with nothing. You open the box, and there's an apology note inside from Bill Gates. You read the apology note a little more closely, and you realize it's to his wife. It was accidentally placed in the box. You know, sad night at the office again. William. Shamey, shamey, shamey. Yeah. It should be relatively easy to place these pieces once we get them all done. It should just be a matter of plugging them into the structure. Should be pretty simple. It's funny, I almost caught myself saying something stupid. Imagine that. I was about to say, look at Daredevil back there watching everything that's happening. You know, watching. I was about to say that. I thought, you know, you're supposed to be like this huge Daredevil fan. Don't say that Daredevil's watching something, okay? It'd be like saying Daredevil went home and watched TV for the rest of the night. He didn't watch TV. I wonder if the comics have ever perceived how, or have ever explained how Daredevil, like, perceives a television. Like, I know that they're really good for doing the whole internal monologue thing, but how would Daredevil perceive a television? Would he just see it as, not see it, but I guess would he just sense it as, like, radio waves and heat from, like, a panel? I guess that's one of those shower thoughts, right? Trying to... You're getting freaked out by something you never really thought about before. I wasn't fully satisfied with how the Netflix series explained Daredevil's sight, if you will. I think they were trying to be edgy or cool, and in their quest to be dramatic, they kind of lost sight of what Daredevil's radar senses are. It's like Matt Murdock said something to Karen Page, like that everything's on fire, and then it's showing some weird image. I actually think it's probably a lot more comics accurate and a lot more understandable the way that the 2003 movie explained Daredevil's radar sense. I think the Netflix show, for all the things it did right, I think they were just trying to get a dramatic, an Emmy moment right there where he's like, everything's on fire. Right. Sure. I also think they were doing the very best they could not to have any commonality with the 2003 movie. Sometimes when you run away from something, it's not good. It's actually a little criticism I have for some of the Marvel Studios decisions with Spider-Man. Sometimes I feel like they're more interested in running away from the Raimi movies than actually doing the right thing for the movie. 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Getting there. It's like Uncle Ben. Poor old Uncle Ben has no representation, no justice in the MCU. And it's a little strange. I really hope they remedy that, because I think people are... I hope that they don't intend this. But sometimes, you know, you kind of worry that they're almost supplanting Uncle Ben with other Marvel heroes through the movies. Because you had Iron Man, and then to some extent you even had Nick Fury, or, well, no spoilers here, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. So I don't think it's a good idea for them to... I don't even think it's intentional necessarily, but there's almost a suggestion that they're supplanting Uncle Ben, or he's been done too much. That's like doing a new Batman movie and saying, you know, that part about his parents being murdered in front of him when he's little, you know, they've already done that, so maybe we just shouldn't do it. Would have been like Chris Nolan, or Zack Snyder for that matter, being like, you know, it's not really an essential part of the character, is it? We don't need that part. It's a mistake, Marvel. You know, I'm really hoping, though, that in No Way Home that is addressed. And if it's not, and they have a third movie to address it, you know, a trilogy structure, I mean, they clearly do have something against just utilizing Uncle Ben. Maybe there's some kind of PC reason. Maybe Uncle Ben got canceled and we don't know it. I know maybe he got canned. That's why Uncle Ben lost his job at the beginning of the first Raimi Spider-Man movie, when he gets laid off from the factory or the plant or wherever he's working. I think it's something to do with electric. Turns out Uncle Ben got canceled before it was cool. He was the very first man to ever be canceled. Well, Peter, they gave me my walking papers today, son. Oh no, Uncle Ben, they found out, didn't they? Yeah, they found out. They looked at Uncle Ben's first YouTube channel, the one that he didn't tell anybody about, and boy, was he ashamed. Turns out, Uncle Ben, that you can't just be you can't just be, I think he was trying to do a Howard Stern type of YouTube channel, and it turns out he couldn't get away with it. Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben. I turned that the wrong way. There we go. I think Lego will be able to learn, the Lego group will be able to learn from this build for the future, because I think surely they'll see that the demand is really there for more buildings like this, like skyscrapers. And this is kind of a method, what they've come up with here, that really makes it possible. So we may be glimpsing into the future a little bit of what Lego has planned for some of their further expansions. And it's funny to say, but this is kind of the first look at what Lego would do with a skyscraper structure. Something that's far more vertical than horizontal. I'm not sure there's ever been a Lego set with this many transparent pieces just right side by side like that. Such a great effect, too. You put that many side by side, you know, and you see that kind of thing in like mocks, but in an official set, you don't really see it, not very often. Put these in. There we go. Okay. So windows, yeah, that looks fantastic. I love it. Okay, looks like we have some roof pieces. I think we're well on our way to getting this section done, actually. Well on our way. All right. This is tricky, getting these lined up right, because there's so many like wavering pieces that are just kind of, you just have to align under one. It is not easy, actually, because all these are trying to sway independently. There we go. And I goofed up. Turns out you're supposed to leave one open right there. There we go. Then another. Go. And that was way harder than it needed to be. My fault, though. Okay. All right. Looking good. And we're apparently here building a big support that goes down into the viewing monitors here. So get this, two of the wing attachments. This part feels like I'm building a Duplo set. Big chunky pieces. Maybe not Duplo, maybe 4 plus. That's what this part feels like. Once again, have to hand it to them for, it feels like they break this up appropriately. Where after you do some like micro kind of build stuff where you're putting the windows together, you do something kind of chunky, more gross motor skill. I don't know if it's intentional, but it feels intentional, so good on them. Very nice. And hopefully I did this right. Hopefully. There we go. And we finish out those supports in the front. Guess the rafters, I guess. I don't know if that's what you'd call them or not. All right. And one random piece that goes back here that completes that section. Okay. Is that it? All right. So that's it for that level, I think. No, not quite. Almost. All right, let's get that next bag open. So I think in this one, it's where I build the, or I apply the dreaded giant sticker. So, good times, good times. There's bag 8. See the black cat's whip there? Pretty sure that's what we're dealing with. Oh, you get 2, huh? Maybe I should do a drawing on the channel. When black cats whip. And here is the possible instrument of my OCD destruction. This is where the giant sticker will go. Whew. Seeing those pieces, man. Fill me with dread. All right. Okay, some of the little pieces laid out. I try to keep the piles by bag. Seems like it makes it a lot easier. Used to, I was the guy who sorted everything by color, but that got old after a minute. Now I don't do that. Now I kind of lay it out the way that Lego has it laid out. It feels a little more organic that way. A little less like it's extra work. Here's the black cat's hair. Don't let anybody know let the black cat know that her weave is laying around here. Be highly offended. Okay. Littler pieces. There's the black cat's head. Okay. Happy black cat, angry black cat. Okay, right here. Really liking this minifigure. Very nice. She's not exactly wearing the classic Black Cat getup, but it's one of those cases where the differences are negligible. So I can live with that. Yeah, it looks good. Put her over here with the other super heroic folks. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and I just want to get the sticker application just out of the way. So I feel like I just want to go ahead and do that. Because if I don't, then I may not have the steady hand to do it later on in the build. After I want you to see this. Look at this giant thing. He really should have broken this up into sections or something. Though in some ways that would make it even more of a nightmare. So I don't know what I want. Oh boy, here we go. Unfortunately, you're right. It's not getting cheaper, is it? It's one of those things. And with the economy rebounding, could get even more expensive. Unfortunately. Of course, it's a good thing the economy is coming back, but I feel like people have some fundamental misunderstandings about when the economy gets better. Yeah, companies are going to try to get a little bit more out of you if they know you've got some money laying around. Miles Warren. It's the guy, he's the Jackal, I believe, the old Spider-Man comics. The guy who is obsessed with cloning. So it makes sense that I never would have anticipated that would be the thrust of the main Jumbotron, whatever you want to call it. That would be the thrust of the main story element there. It would be based on the 90s Spider-Man clone saga, which, I don't know if that means we've got a hint here about a future set or what exactly. Not sure what it means. Guess we'll find out eventually. What's interesting is they throw Kurt Connors in there too, the lizard. I'm gonna have to do this off camera where I can see. Okay. not be 100%, but I'm going to call it good enough. I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm satisfied. Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad at all. It's not perfect, but nothing ever is. Yeah, I'll take it. Okay, so there's one down. And the other is right beside of it, and it goes on this. Now, this should be a little simpler. Because I really like this one, because this is more your classic villains. Villains promise to stop being bad guys. Can they be trusted? See, this just makes me think that how cool would it be to get a Marvel Lego film? I really want to see what could be done with that. However, I think that with the end of the Spider-Verse, I don't know if there's even a feeling at Marvel that that's needed. But it would be a very different kind of thing. Would not be the same kind of product. Thinking of the Spider-Verse as a serious action kind of franchise that just happens to be animated. Whereas if you want to do a real comedy, very lighthearted, you would go the Lego route. I would say the world needs some comedy right now. Okay, well, sure enough, that was pretty easy. Yeah, I'll take it. Looks good. We have one more piece. There's a big sticker piece. And that is the one it's all about. Good old Norman Osborn here. Make sure I have the orientation correct before I move on. Tell you what, on that one, let's see. Make sure I've got it right. I hate to put the sticker on upside down because it actually matters with this one, which way you put it. Let me go ahead and attach it. I'm skipping some directions here to get to this point. Yeah. All right. Then we use this. Vote Osborne for mayor. It's funny, we've actually gone through the majority of stickers at this point. All right. This is tough. I've actually never applied a Lego sticker on a surface that was so bizarre, I guess. because I'm curious how far it's supposed to come up. Like, I almost feel like I should start from over here. And then try it like that. I almost feel like this ridge, that divide, maybe that's where it needs to start. I almost feel like there is a spot made for the sticker because you see the two ridges up here and the ridge on the side. I almost feel like that's a good guide. But I wish all of these had, really. It would be nice. But who am I kidding? Lego rebels in our misery as we place sticker after sticker on super expensive sets that we could potentially ruin. I'm making it more dramatic than it is. Lego provides replacement stickers to anyone who asks, free of charge. They know that, I'm sure that they know what it's like. Well, as a matter of fact, I know that they know what it's like because there's some well-documented instances, which are, you can't help but laugh, where they've goofed up themselves applying their own stickers to where they're not aligned or they're not straight, like in the press photos. Or maybe it's the person who's taking the pictures. I'm not sure whose job it is to apply the stickers at that point. But I do imagine it's the design team are the ones that have the stickers on, and then they hand it off to a photography person. See, this is coming in a little too close. Nobody ever said that it would be easy. Oh, boy. All right. Sorry, I have to do this off camera. Better I do it off camera and get it right than be stuck. All right, Norman. Okay, that looks pretty decent. All right, and we'll continue with this next bag where we actually assemble the rest of this. We'll get that done on our next episode. So thanks to everyone who joined me and everyone who watched later. Take care.